Are you a beginner sock knitter? Or are you a little bit scared about knitting socks? Or maybe you just don't like the method that you're using right now? This is the video for you. Hi, welcome back to Flaming Llama Knits. My name is Kat, and this is a channel where I talk about knitting, crocheting, spinning, and all of the cool fiber artsy things that I love. Today, we're going to chat about how you can make socks just like these super quick. They like stuck together. So these are my newest pair of socks that I haven't gifted yet. These are made with Bashful Armadillo's Cadillac Ranch, and they unfortunately aren't dying anymore. But this specific sock recipe has just been the best that I've used. And I want to chat about it because I keep chatting with people about sock knitting and they keep telling me, oh, I hate making socks. I just don't like to use Magic Loop. Using DPNs is fiddly and all of those things. So I just want to make sure that you guys know the good news of 9-inch circulars. So let's talk about 9-inch circulars for a little bit. These are C-knits. I'm going to mispronounce this, but Kushitsu, I'm not sure. Needles. They have a brass tip. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's not focusing. Nope, it's not going to focus. They have not a brass tip, but a brass like bottom part, and they're a swivel cord, and they're great. Actually, this needle made me go on and buy their whole interchangeable kit because they're so good. They just are so easy and the drag isn't crazy. And this is coming from like not acclaimed, a specific, I'm looking for the word. I cannot find the word, but I am famously a metal needle girly because when I first started, everything was super tight and I was just like, this is not working. And I was using wood at the time, not bamboo, but wood. And I switched over to metal needles after somebody at my local yarn store, which is Yarnivore in San Antonio, told me, hey, this is a really good investment for you because you have a really, really tight gauge. And that switch made all of the problems go away and I fell in love with knitting. So back to socks. There are 3 main types of sock knitting ways that you can knit socks. So I've tried all 3, and my favorite by far is the 9-inch circular. So let's talk about Magic Loop. So my experience with Magic Loop is that I hate it. I know. There is a whole amount of y'all right now saying, what do you mean you hate Magic Loop? That is like one of the best ways to make socks. I know. Don't kill me. But I am a self-appointed Magic Loop hater. I am the biggest Magic Loop hater that you will ever meet, but let's talk about it fairly. So Magic Loop is a really good way to make socks because what the method does is that you use an extremely long cord with longer needles and you divide up the sides in half. So all of your stitches, let's say you have 66 stitches. So you would put 33 on one and 33 on the other, and then you just knit regularly like if it was in the round. My problem with Magic Loop is that I find it to be a little fiddly, and I also just really find that it is so slow for me that I start to lose interest. So I think Magic Loop is great for certain things. So like if you're knitting something for a baby and you need to make sleeves, Magic Loop is there for you. Magic Loop is a perfect way to knit baby sleeves. But for socks, unless you're knitting like a baby sock, I don't think that Magic Loop is the best thing because it is a little fiddly. At least for me, the fact that it's fiddly and the fact that it's slow, it just doesn't help me out. And if I'm losing interest and I'm not enjoying the process of knitting anymore, then I just don't want to do it. So those are my thoughts on Magic Loop. fairly, it is a really good method, especially if you are very skilled at Magic Loop or you just want to give it a shot. I think you should absolutely give it a shot because you may find that that's the method for you. And it is totally okay if you disagree with me. I'm not going to be hurt. I am just a Magic Loop hater. Let's chat about DPNs. So, the one thing that I keep hearing about DPNs is that DPNs are very, very fiddly, and it's hard to take them around in a project bag, or if you're just tossing your project into a bag, it's a little bit difficult. You can end up losing stitches because if you don't put them all in the middle, or you forget and you toss it in your bag, you're losing your stitches, or you may need more stitch stoppers. I've heard it all. This seems to be the least favorite method of making socks. And you know what? I get it. I have tried knitting socks on DPNs and I don't hate it. I do think it is a little fiddly at first. It is a little slow, but honestly, I think it looks cool. And it has really helped me. And even with my own personal like favorite method, I do still have to use DPNs. So one way or another, it is still the way that if I wasn't using a 9-inch circular, I would absolutely use DPNs. So now for my favorite method, and I'm going to have to be really careful not to ramble about this because I love, 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 love 9-inch circulars. So if you're using a 9-inch circular, you can essentially just cast on all of your stitches and work in a really, really small space in the round. When this becomes a little bit of a problem is when you go to do your heel and your heel turn and gusset. So you do need either DPNs or Magic Loop for that. My personal favorite is to use DPNs for that because it does make it a lot easier for me to do that. So what I did for these socks, which are actually made with the, I call it a recipe because it really is a recipe. I use the I'm So Basic socks by Summer Lee. So quick segue. This sock book is my favorite of all time. No hate to the line of publishing ones. Those are amazing too. But Summer Lee knows her stuff. This is the book that got me into sock knitting. The fact that I could just open this up and go, okay, how do I make a basic sock? How do I do the gusset? How do I do the heel turn? How do I do the heel? How do I do all of these things? And she explains it so well. And I have tried a couple of her socks in here and they're all just amazing and they're so well done. And she's also on YouTube, so I recommend you check it out. Now, if you don't have this book or your library doesn't have it to check out or it's, on back order or whatever, you can generally get this book at your local yarn store. So I actually ordered this one online from Red Hen Books, which quick shout out, Red Hen Books is amazing and they're really, really great for knitting, crochet books, and all of these other things. They have embroidery books too, and I've gotten a couple and they're great. They have decks, they have tools, they have all of this cool stuff. So I'll definitely put their link in the description and you should absolutely check them out because they're amazing. But this book, she has a second one. It's called The Sock Obsession, and I do have it. I'm just not sure where it is because I used it and I was knitting a sock off of that and I don't know where it went, but it is somewhere in my house. Thankfully, I have not lost it, but it is somewhere in my house. So that book, I highly recommend. I really think that you're going to love it if you decide to go ahead and knit a sock out of that book or just use her I'm So Basic socks recipe. You can also find the I'm So Basic socks recipe on Ravelry. So I'll have that link in the description down below as well, in case that you are interested in taking a look at that, or if you're like, you know what, I don't really want to spend the money to get the book if I don't really know if I like sock knitting, which is totally fair, and I 100% support that. Make sure that you check it out on Ravelry. So normally, for a sock like this, I would cast on, I believe it is 62 stitches. So in her recipe, she does say to cast on 61 and then increase, but she does knit her socks on Magic Loop or DPNs. So for the 9-inch circular, I would do the 62. Now that is the the small size, I believe, but then you just go from there. And I'm not going to give that much more description on how to actually knit these socks because that is all on the book and in the actual pattern, and the pattern is paid. So you guys will have to take a look at the pattern to make sure that you know what those counts are and all of that. That is as much info as I will give. Oh, hello, Aria. Are you coming to say hi? Aria is one of my cats, and I'll put a picture of her right here. She is so fun. She is my least friendly cat, but she's still pretty friendly. She is famously a biter to people that she doesn't know. We've tried to train her out of that, but have you ever tried to train a cat before? It's very difficult. So anyway, going back to socks. So I've made two different types of socks. One's on fingering weight and one's on DK. So the fingering weight socks, I normally will use a ball just like this. Now this is Manos del Uruguay's, let's see. I think it's Manos. Oh, it is like really in there. Alegria. Yes. Okay, so it is Manos del Uruguay Alegria, and it is in the color Quilt. And it is gorgeous. It's got this great variegation. I don't know if you guys can tell that I love variegated yarns, especially for socks. And they are, you can normally get two out of these, or I can normally get two socks out of these. Some people can get four socks out of a ball. That is not me. I don't know how they do it. I also have a really loose gauge, so just naturally. So just that must just be like a thing. I really, really love fingering weight socks. They do take a little bit longer, especially on the sock needles that I have on my 9-inch circulars. So these are the ones that I will use for fingering weight socks. Now these are a oh, actually no, I just lied. I'm so sorry. These are the ones that I use for DK socks. Normally for fingering weight socks, I'll use 2.25 millimeters needles, and I'll use my Chowgu set. Mostly because I haven't found the C-knit ones, because I just discovered C-knit and I am like in love, but I don't have those yet. So I am on the hunt for them, and hopefully I will have them soon, but I do use my Chowgu set of shorties for those. Now for DK, which is what I use these are 3.5 millimeter and US 4 needles. So for the US 4 needles and DK weight, it is a different recipe for those. Now, the Crazy Sock Lady has an amazing DK vanilla sock pattern, and I'm going to link it in the description below. It is free on Ravelry, and it is what I used to make my last DK socks, which are right here. And these were a gift for my dad for his birthday not that long ago. It was in February, at the end of February. So those are really cozy and they're really great, and I loved them, but they're also super quick to knit. Like, I made those socks in 2 days, and I wasn't even like trying to finish them in 2 days. I had already told him like, hey, they're gonna be late because they're just like, they're socks, but I'm making them by hand and it's like stitch by stitch, and I was able to finish them quick. I remember like looking down and being like, oh my gosh, it's time for the heel. And then looking at the foot and being like, oh my gosh, it's time for the foot. And they're 10.5 size socks. So on DK, generally I can make one pair of socks per ball, depending on the size of the ball. Now for that one, I believe I used Cascade Vintage DK. And they were, I want to say it was like 200 and something yards. I'm going to put what it was up here. And I was able to get 2 socks out of that. And if I had tried to do another pair of socks, I would have gotten halfway through the second sock. So your mileage may vary, but at least on 9-inch circulars, it's pretty good. You can get through them pretty quickly. So depending on the type of heel that you want to make, if you're following the Summer Lee pattern, like I said earlier, you are going to need DPNs if you're on 9-inch circulars. Now, if you want to, you can do magic loop. But my personal favorite method is to use DPNs. Now, it does get a little bit tricky when you go from the heel and the heel turn to the gusset, which is normally when I go back to my 9-inch circulars. It can cause some of your stitches to get a little stretched. So just keep that in mind. Make sure that you use more DPNs than you think are necessary. I ended up using all 4 of my DPNs to be able to make sure that, well, 4 minus 1. No, 4. I had to think about that for a second because I was like, wait, what did I use? So I ended up using 4 DPNs to get it back to the gusset. And then once I did like 2 rounds of the gusset, I just transferred them all back onto my 9-inch circulars. And that was easier. I have done it where I've used the 9-inch circulars to pick up the stitches on the side of the heel. And that can be a little fiddly. But I will say, like, with the DPNs, it is a lot easier to get through that section. So I hope this video has inspired you to make some socks, has given you some tips, tricks, and all of the other things, and that breakdown of Magic Loop, DPN, and 9-inch circular has helped you. And if you make any socks, or if you have a favorite method or any tips and tricks, please make sure to drop them down in the comments below. I want to see your latest socks, and I want to see all of the cool things that you guys are making. And if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. It really does help me, and it really does keep everything going. So please give me a like, please give me a subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.